I'm here with Frank Morales. Of course, you are getting to be just such a regular because there's so much stuff happening in the news and people need to hear this. Glad you're back with us.
Well, thank you.
Good. There are so many different things that we can talk about. You have Amy Bishop, you have the Discovery Middle, and today is yet another Friday, so let's all keep our fingers crossed that everything's going to be okay. But Frank, you say that there are signs everywhere.
Yes, there are. I mean, everyone thinks that things are done in the vacuum, and you know, it's kind of interesting. Every time that we look in the paper and after a shooting or any kind of incident, if you ever notice, they go to neighbors or they go to people, and they sometimes say, "Well, what do you think?" And they say, "Well, I never would have thought that that person would have done it." And there's always lots of signs that these things have happened. I mean, if you notice in the two that, let's say, that's happened in our community, if you look at the one that happened at Discovery, you would find out that maybe the suspect had some things that happened in his past that would give way that there were some troubled signs there. In the case of Dr. Bishop, I mean, it's well reported because of the fact that you know, she's been charged, she's an adult, and we have the means to go back into several years. There were such warning signs, and those signs coming back all the way from when, you know, with her brother. You take a look at those things and say, these are pretty troubling, and nothing was ever done about it. And I think, you know, one of the interesting facts that came out in the paper was even the one that happened in 2002. And I think it's interesting because of how it happened. And it was really the smallest one of the group, but when you think about going into a public restaurant.
The IHOP incident.
Right, the IHOP incident, and she goes in, and it's over just something menial like a booster seat. But she hits this lady over the head, and this is after one of the employees that tried to intervene, and she's shouting. Okay, she leaves the restaurant. She says she's Dr. Amy Bishop. So what does that tell you? There's a sense of entitlement there, okay? The other thing is, in the paper, I think it was either yesterday or today, her husband was asked, did he think she needed anger management? And he said no.
Now, she was ordered to go to anger management, but evidently the ball was dropped there as well, and it never happened.
But the interesting thing was, he said no. He didn't think anything like that deserved it. So what does that tell you?
They're condoning these actions.
Right. He doesn't think that anything like that, it's too trivial. The fact that this woman was hit over the head meant nothing to them.
And he's a doctor as well.
Right. So this tells you what is their real outlook toward violence. Now, if that had happened to his wife, what would he have thought?
She was the victim.
Right. What would he have thought about it? But this is when these things keep going on, and you know, you read about the professor that had his thoughts about her mental state and everything, and then he was avoiding her the whole time. These are all signs of things that are going on with people. In our society right now, we have lots of people walking around that threaten people. They sit up there and make major scenes in places and things like that. And what happens is, because they can get away with that behavior, they normalize it themselves, and that they feel that this is the proper type of way to go ahead and bully people. And this type of fear and intimidation that they do, you know, they do it in all walks of life. This doesn't just take place, it takes place in school, it takes place in the workplace, it takes place in the home. In the home, we call it domestic violence.
And daily activities, and she did this in front of her children as well. So what is that teaching, of course, the children?
Right, this is how we have people to grow up, because we know that if you witness this type of behavior at home, the chances of you acting out in public are at almost 100%. So this cycle of violence, as we call it, is what we know that, especially in domestic violence, we say you are teaching someone to do that later in life. Let's look at even what happened as, you know, Jamie read in the news about the person that crashed his plane. Okay, people feel so angry that now we have people that act out on all their impulses. Jamie read another story about a Vanderbilt student, and you have to be pretty intelligent to get in there. Okay, it's not a matter of you can just get a scholarship because you can play. You still have to meet all the requirements. But a young man's life has ended because somebody else decides to act out on their impulses. This is what we're having more and more in our society. People act out on their impulses of anger. and we're not doing anything about it beforehand. We're just kind of poo-pooing when someone walks around, threatens you, or someone's having all these angry exchanges.
Good. I mean, you're right. You're absolutely right. And we see it daily, and how many of you probably see it as well. Profile characteristics of potential aggressors. You've brought some information in today of how you can recognize things. Now, you also go into the workplace and you can counsel them as far as one of your little keys here was setting up the room.
Right.
To cut down on violence.
Right. See, and what happens is a lot of times you're going to have people, and like here's one of the conceptions about workplace violence. And this is because of what you hear. A lot of people think that in workplace violence that most of it occurs by former employees.
Right. That's
okay.
not true.
Actually, only 3% of workplace violence happens by former employees. 25% of workplace violence happens by current employees. Okay. 26% happens by strangers. 40% of workplace violence happens by customers.
Really?
40% happens by customers coming in the door. So someplace that is customer oriented, a lot of times customers are coming in there. Okay? And if a person does not know, does not train people on how to handle angry customers, that is the person that can come in there and is most likely to have potential violence. Now, an interesting thing, the fastest growing segment, and that's at 6% of workplace violence, is what we call domestic violence spillover. That means that we have people that have a domestic violence situation and they bring it to work.
Okay.
So this is your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your wife or ex-wife or something, and you have a situation and they come into the workplace and come meet you there to perform violence. But clearly the largest segment of that is the customer doing that.
Which she was a customer at IHOP.
Exactly.
Exactly what happens. So
Yes.
just things to look for, and if you have someone in your family that is definitely showing signs of anger, not just anger, you do conflict resolution, you consult employers as well.
Yes.
You can help set up a room. Employers need to make sure, like if there's cubicles, for instance, everything is set up to where if there is an incident, you can get out, you can take cover, and the employees need to know the plan as well.
Right. You need to have, what happens is we teach people because we do organizational training and things. We provide those type of seminars. You need to know where a safe room is supposed to come. If you have someone coming in that is dangerous, you need to know where the safe room is. You need to have a buzzer system or passwords or things to be able to say so that people know that something's happening. But how the person that is engaging that person needs to know how to alert a supervisor. People need to know what the safe words are. People need to know what are the ways that we approach a person that's very angry to try to calm them down. And a lot of people aren't trained to that effect, and that's some of the things that we do. We provide that type of training. We are nationally certified in anger management. We're trained through the Anderson & Anderson out of Los Angeles, which is the biggest provider of anger management. It's even like this is one of the books that we use, Gaining Control of Ourselves. And it's, like I said, Anderson & Anderson, and on the web it's andersonservices.com. And, we have extensive training in this. It's not something that's just made up or whatever.
Everyone gets mad. Don't think, no. I don't get mad. We all get mad. It's just how you take that anger out, how you act.
But it's a very serious issue. And a lot of people are just not looking at the potential aggressors that they're facing every day. They're just sitting up there and they walk among us. Everyone thinks that these are people that are just going to stand out. No. Dr. Amy Bishop did not stand out when she went to IHOP that day. Dr. Amy Bishop did not stand out in a whole lot of situations. People don't stand out in most situations when they get angry. This person, Joe Stack, probably did not stand out. But when he went to the airport, he looked as normal as possible. When he got in his plane, and decided he was going to go. Otherwise, someone would have stopped him.
That's right. And great information today. And you know, speaking of the IRS building, they had 199 employees there. They did have a plan of action, and because they knew to do that, they were able to get most folks out safely, other than the burn victims. So that worked for them. There's truth in that. Well, thank you very much. You can contact Frank Morales at the Service Center there in Huntsville. If ever you need that number, call me, 603-4848. Thank you, Frank. Stay tuned. You get to eat chicken biscuits now.
Okay.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, still more to come. And yes, Katie Beth is still awake. We'll get her to sing another one in just a little bit. We'll be right back.